Diddy at a level of being untouchable where he's protected, or is Diddy a target that they'll eventually put all the blame on him and make sure they get away with it free?
I mean, he's definitely going to be the black motherfucker holding the bag. Because you gotta realize one thing. That boy life is dangerous. His life doesn't, and he's just not dangerous with the shit they said he was doing, but he's in danger. He know too much. One thing you gotta realize is he probably having a conversation right now with the higher ups and everybody else to figure out how it's gonna work itself out, because he know all the secrets. And if he gets to running his mouth, it could be a bad look. I look at it like the most important thing is the industry needs to be built over. You have all these executives because somebody was their father, their grandfather, or all these type of stuff, and they don't give people the opportunity to grow and learn. I know when I first started in this business, it wasn't a machine. I had to be the machine. I had to figure out how to get my songs on the radio. Because at that time, they was getting 5%, and they got 10%. They was popping champagne bottles. I went from 95% of the songs you hear on the radio was my songs into 97%. So you had to really do all this thing and really do the work. And once the work was known that it could be done, and I was generating the type of money for the people I was involved.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
They wanted to be hip-hop. Because the difference was that Michael Jackson was spending, say, $75 million, $50 million before he sold one record. They give him $75 to $50 million advance. He might spend $50 million, or he might spend $100 million to make his album, and $5 million on video. I was spending $50,000 to make an album. I was spending $50,000 on the video. I was spending $150,000 to promote it. So, and if I sell 3 million records, and Michael Jackson said 3 million records, or if he sells 10 million records, I'm gonna make more money off my projects than his projects because I'm spending less money.
Right.
Because I was the machine. So once they realized I was the machine and they can have a machine like that, the majors wanted what I started, they wanted my artists. But when they took my artists and they got control of the industry, everything went from $50,000 to make an album to fucking $5 million to make an album. Until these guys having all these dancers and all this extra shit, all the surgeries and all the extra shit, right? So in the end, they blew hip-hop out the water so much that they were going to start cheating for everybody to eat. So you had an artist, and the only thing they had to do with the machine is show up. Show up for the interview. Show up for the photo session. Show up for the studio. Show up for the video. Now that's being taken away because all these people been using all these artists. And at the end of the day, the artists end up broke. Or now you have different Spotify stuff or Apple or different ones, right? The strings. Who is making the count or policing the strings? So how you know they're not saying, I got 5 strings and you got 1?
Right.
Or however it may be. Nobody have no way of knowing that. So now the artist can't have that machine to be certified cash anyone for is making money. So they all going crazy. So now everybody's telling on everybody. Everybody's drinking more. Everybody doing more product. Everybody doing those little sick little moves of the guys waking up with their butt sore. That type of shit. Or the girls waking up, they don't know what is that. So everybody's stressed the fuck out because the machine is over. So now they just need to rebuild and put decent people in the industry. Have the machine back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with what you're saying, it's very important because you had a business model that is costing them money. You're spending less money, you're making more profit, you're making them look bad, and they're supposed to be the executives, the professionals, and you're the amateur building up a company on your own without a background. You didn't go to school to learn how to be an executive, and you're building a business doing $750 million. Here's a question for you. In the financial industry, you'll hear many times they'll say, you know, these companies are part of the too big to fail. For example, we can't let AIG go out of business. We can't let Bank of America go out of business. We can't let these guys go out of business. Is Biggie part of the too big to fail, or are there people way above Diddy that are part of the too big to fail that they'll always be protected, specifically when you say higher ups?
That's a good question.
Well, you got to look at it like this. Puffy is one of those black guys that's probably more fear of white America than black America. We feel in black America, we pass all that. They can't get to him. In white America, you got to show them some respect. Or they going to spank him on his ass. Especially now, because when you really look at it, Ciroc was a great company that gave Puffy opportunity. I think he gave him $1,000 to get in, and then he was able to make all this money, and then he wanted more and more and more. And the first time they didn't allow him to throw a tantrum, he hit him with the stuff that people hit him with probably. So he told him, "Hey, you racist. You motherfuckers is racist." They say, "Yeah." You know, I have to say that I was raised in Compton, but I was made in Vegas at UNLV. UNLV taught me the opportunity to be around people that was business minded, that was loyal, that was happy. And that's where my lessons came from. So I understand business better than most people. That's why I ain't never been in no damn videos. So at the end of the day, when Puffy went at the alcohol business, I used to play football with John Kennedy Jr. almost every weekend. One of the best guys I ever met and hung out with. We used to play football. But that being said, he come from a bootlegger family. Most of the big guys come from a bootlegger family. You know, the alcohol it was legal. These guys is smart enough to be humble, but wide enough to be aggressive tough. So when Puffy challenged him, and they knew Puffy lived in the glass house, his house came tumbling down because those rocks was coming through that glass house. On the simple fact, when he called those guys racist, and they knew he had those hidden secrets, they ain't just found out that the things Puffy was doing. They ain't just found out how the industry is. They haven't just found out how they pick and choose.
I mean, one piece we know that confirms that is the fact that CNN had that video of him beating Cassie up for 9 years. They've had it since 2016. They didn't release a piece of it until 2024. Whose call was that? Who made the call for that video to finally be released?
They're part of the government. And I say that because that's why it was so easy to snatch motherfucking Puffy down. And all the people that Puffy fuck with, they can't say nothing because they're part of it too. Yeah.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party.
Tulsi Gabbard says she is.
Girl, I don't give a fuck. So I don't fuck with none of them. I'm so glad I don't have to vote here in Korea. I don't have a right to vote, and I can't participate in any political activities. Yay! He said a lot. And we will go back, Ryan. We will watch. I was going to do it Saturday, but I didn't really want to monopolize you guys' time since I've taken so much of your time over the weekday. And there was a lot of good content on YouTube on the weekend. So I wanted to make sure I made the most of your time. Maybe we'll start digging into some of those Making the Band episodes, because I do have a whole playlist of Making the Band episodes that I've been reviewing myself. Dastardly behavior, him and Beyonce. I am so ashamed for her at the fact that she encouraged him to have those boys walk across that bridge. That boy and the girl, hot fire, walk across that bridge. 3 hours in dangerous ass New York to get some fucking cheesecake that she very likely was just going to throw up. Excuse me, that's nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of. I definitely want to go and take a look at some of those episodes. And Lisa said, as you come in, please smash the like button. I'm here for that. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. It was wild. It was wild. I kind of stopped watching it because just like when I did a breakdown on Drewski's first episode of his show, I think it was Drewski House or something, and I was like, these people are being exploited. I can't watch this shit. I can't watch this shit. I don't get entertained by that. You know? It don't do nothing for me. So I couldn't watch it then, but we definitely will go back and watch it now from a retrospective point of view to be able to see some of those behaviors that we didn't see then, because you got to be wrong in the head to exploit poor people, to have these kids who ain't got shit. You know they ain't got shit, and you have them come into your circle just to abuse them? No, it wasn't fake. That was real shit. Them kids were really going through that shit, and all of them were broke. So now let's go ahead and slide on over to the Piers Morgan interview as well. And let me just fire that up at 30 minutes.
I'm not saying
Hold on 1 second.
Puffy not guilty on majority stuff.
Hold on, let me get it in the right place. And while I am firing this up to the right place, please go ahead and hit the like button. I'm grateful for you doing that. Thank you. Let me see, where are we?
And if you really look at the other situation,
What I found very interesting, and you guys know I studied broadcast, so I pay attention to all this stuff. I found it very interesting that they switched over to the conversation about Diddy, the Diddy trial, right at the 30-minute mark. You know, I don't never think that's an accident, because everything is scripted. We're going to start right here. This might be the only Piers Morgan interview I've ever enjoyed in my entire existence.
it's a narrative. Reggie Wright Jr.
Let me ask you.
and his
Sure.
his family
Let me ask you.
to say cops.
I hear you. Let me ask you directly now just about the Diddy trial, because you've said that you believe he should definitely walk, which is pretty extraordinary given what you've just been telling me about, you know, Diddy's possible involvement in trying to kill you. But why do you think he should walk from this case?
Well, number one is that this. To say he's part of a racketeering and make a case, they would have to put other executives in custody also, which they would never do.
Yep.
It's a guy named Jimmy Iovine.
Yep.
We was, I consider him family. Been known him forever. Jimmy Iovine used to be a second engineer, and then he started working for Interscope, and I made that company. I built that company, me personally. And Puffy beat up a girl named Capricorn. Beat the shit out of her. Jimmy Iovine, one of Puffy guys, and Puffy approached Capricorn. And Jimmy told Capricorn, you're going to take this money, and you're going to shut your mouth and leave it alone.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you $1 million.
This is the one.
Puffy didn't give Capricorn $1 million. Jimmy Iovine gave Capricorn a check from Interscope. And Universal should be ashamed of their fucking self that this big old publicly traded company will allow Interscope to give this girl $1 million check.
And this woman, should,
not a singer,
just to
not
be
a
clear,
producer.
just to be clear, Capricorn Clark, she's actually been giving evidence in the case. She was your former assistant, and she...
No, she wasn't my assistant, but she did hang around Death Row. She was Puffy's assistant. After she hung around Death Row. But what I'm trying to say is...
She worked for Death Row.
Jimmy gave her that $1 million check. She got mad because she thought that's a settlement check, and the settlement check, you don't supposed to take taxes out of it. So when they told her she had to pay taxes on it, she'd get pissed. But I feel bad for Capricorn, not because she's just lying, but I feel bad for Capricorn on the simple fact she went through a lot. But the other part about all this, if you're not going to say nothing to Jimmy and Interscope for doing something illegal, why would you just put Puffy in prison?
Right.
The other thing is that, do Puffy do weird stuff? If Puffy got on the stand and told the truth, I know he'll walk. If he got on the stand and say, look, I'm gay and straight. I mess with guys. I mess with women.
Right.
I do it all. Puffy not guilty for the things he did to these people. He's guilty for being a cold, freaky man that want freaky things done to him. But in the Cassie situation, they could not say he was having sex with the men also, because that'll make him like his orgy. It won't be like sex trafficking. It won't be like forcing stuff to do. But at the end of the day, there's no way Puffy should go to prison for the rest of his life. He should have. I think that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Suge, you talked about Capricorn Clark, that he beat her very badly. He beat Cassie Ventura very badly. He was clearly very violent towards women. That's not a nice man, somebody who does that, clearly. But what you're saying is you don't...
My point is this. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like this. I'm not saying Puffy not guilty on majority stuff. He should go to... he's done, right? Because even if he went to prison, it'd probably be a better thing. He'd probably be more happy in prison than in the streets. Because at least in prison, he can get all the baby all he wants. He can have all the men he wants, anyway, anyhow, and all day and all night. But what I'm trying to say...
How the hell did Pierce keep a straight face? Because that's like the third time I've heard that, and it still makes me giggle.
is that some of the things, the charges is not true. But I know they're not going to let Puffy go to prison. You know Puffy not going to go to prison. They been knew that Puffy was beating these women. They been knew what Puffy was doing with these men. They been knew. I told people before that in Hollywood, and by the way, they never tried it with me. In Hollywood, we go out there with Andre Young, we go out there with Puffy, we go out with any of these people that used to be in that building. They go talk to Jimmy and all these other guys. Russell Simmons, Andre Arell, they had this thing where they take a hard-boiled egg. And it sounds nasty, but they would, if the egg can go...
Brace yourself, literally. No pun intended. Brace yourself. If you haven't heard what he's about to say.
When these guys wreck them and they don't bust, they think they're doing a great job. And if you look at the pictures in Hollywood, and by the way, they never tried it with me. In Hollywood, we go out there with Andre Young, we go out there with Puffy, we go out with any of these people that used to be in that building. They go talk to Jimmy and all these other guys. Russell Simmons, Andre Arell, they had this thing where they take a hard-boiled egg. And it sounds nasty, but they would, if the egg can go in these guys' rectum and it don't bust, they think they're doing a great job. And if you look at the pictures, you'll see Puffy and another actor. The guy was married to Katy Perry. After I said this, people start finding pictures of these guys holding up the hard-boiled egg. Only thing I'm saying is, the bottom line is this.
I mean,
that because Suge Knight...
I have a bidet. And sometimes it makes me uncomfortable.
Don't wear a shiny suit and dance in the videos. Mm-hmm. I'm in prison illegally. Mm-hmm. I'm kidnapped. If it was anyone else, they'd give me a warrant and I'd be free.
Now, hear what Suge is saying. Suge is saying, because I didn't play the games they played, because I'm not bisexual, because I'm not raping boys, because I don't get down with the hard-boiled egg game, I'm in prison. Because he's in prison on a 3 strikes you're out when he shouldn't even have, this should be his first strike. If y'all know about those 3 strikes you're out rules that some states have, California is one of them. Michigan is another one. I think Jersey is another one. 3 felony strikes and you're out. This was not supposed to be a strike. He made a deal that went back on, if that's the right way to say it.
Since that is the other way around,
I agree, Zoo Tours.
They can get Puffy telling people they want to kill me. They can say they come in with guns to kill me. They can say they come in and do this. Sometimes. They can have a people who shot me in One Oak do songs about shooting me. Mm. If you look at those people, who is those people in bed with? That's the question.
It comes back to Puffy. If the FBI can tell me that they're trying to kill me, if the authorities can say they're trying to kill me, and I've been shot different occasions, and the very first time.
And I'm going to interrupt Suge just because I don't want to lose this thought. I was doing a little bit more research on how this thing should have gone with these raids. As soon as they found guns, they should have called the ATA. As soon as they found drugs, they should have called the DEA. How come these agencies aren't involved? How come this is just Homeland Security and the FBI? These other agencies should have been involved. I wish America would embrace bidets as a norm, but that's why I live in Korea. ATF, thank you, Chat Lives Matter, and welcome in. Definitely, once those guns were found, the ATF should have been contacted, especially with the serial numbers filed off. As soon as those drugs were found, they should have contacted the DEA. Yeah, I love my bidet. I love it. And they haven't. Those agencies are not involved. They haven't opened cases on Diddy or any of his properties, the island, the apartment in New York, the house in LA, none of it. The underground tunnels, none of it. And they should have. And let's just remember that the same year Kid Cudi's fire happened to his car, the fingerprint cards from that fire were destroyed at the word of the LAPD. And the officer who saw Diddy's car at Kid Cudi's house ran the plates. The plates came back to Bad Boy Records, and he never put out a be on the lookout for that vehicle or involved the vehicle in an inspection. Oh, you bought your bidet on sale from Lowe's. I love it. I mean, you can go to cafes here and there's bidets in the restroom. Like, it's just a regular part of life here. I love it. Anyway, let me get back on topic.
They try to kill me, and I get away, and somebody happens to die.
Guns and drugs.
And I go to prison? When you really look at it, Puffy had sex with too many higher-up people in the industry. Yep. Now, I'm not talking about women. They get convicted. That's what I believe.
You're talking about senior male record company executives.
Exactly.
Yep, they got
extraordinary. Let me just finish, Suge, by asking you this. You were there when one of the all-time most famous music icons was killed. You were sitting next to him. What was the last thing that Tupac said to you?
Well, the crazy thing about it, nobody followed us, nobody came, nobody come to help. And as we sitting there, I looking at him, he looking at me. I said, man, look, we ain't gonna go straight ahead this way to the hospital. I'm gonna do a U-turn, and we're gonna go to the hospital off of Las Vegas Boulevard. He said, why? I said, because it's more lights and more people. Yeah. And he said, well, let me drive. I said, I'm driving. He said, man, you bleeding all through your head. Yeah. You can't see, I can see. And we was listening to oldies at first.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Suge. Zoo Tours, you will definitely want to watch our episode from Friday because we covered a entire breakdown of why Diddy, why now. I mean, that entire episode was about him in the entertainment industry and how he represents the entire industry. There are clips in the breakdown playlist of that show that you definitely need to see because the puzzle pieces were put together of why they finally decided to lock him up. Sorry to interrupt you, Suge. Go ahead. Don't be mad at me, please.
But on the way towards the strip, he put in a song that says he did it about me. And I said, I did, that's me talking about you. The song was You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me. I take your collect calls, you get shot of the last Hennessy. And as we riding down Las Vegas Boulevard, the police ran us off the divider and fucked the tires up and pulled guns on us and was talking about killing us. So
They didn't want them to get help.
I always think about that. For a long time, I wasn't able to listen to Tupac's music
Me too.
because it put me in a place of anger, rage. And my mother, who passed away when I was in county jail, always told me God loves me. And I know I'm not perfect. And I take accountability of everything I do. And I listen to my mother to try to make myself better, to improve myself. And I'm going to say this, and it's very important I say this because it's true. Some people can't be helped.
Woo! That's saying something.
There's a guy named Reggie Wright Jr., and I say this guy's name a lot because he keeps lying all over the internet about Tupac, and he know what he did. So when I knew that he was trying to kill himself because he can't walk and he got to wear steamy shoes to make himself better, he got a great mother. I even know his father. So when everybody was laughing and said he wanted to commit suicide, I called him to give him some encouragement. He goes and take that to be negative and try to bring down everyone, mainly because he hates Tupac. If anybody had a lot of involvement of the Tupac situation, I know Perk Bud had his hands in it. I know the fact that people can get a show and call it Bomb First behind Tupac's saying in his songs. And every person they bring on that show talks bad about Tupac. Talking about he was raped, he was a punk, he was scary, he was stupid. All these things are definitely not true. This person involvement of assassination of Tupac Shakur. I do know one thing. Crooked cops destroyed hip-hop.
Yep.
When I talked to Tupac and I said, look, man, you and Biggie need to do an album together on Death Row, of course. We can make it 4 CDs in one package. Reason why I said that, I was in a hotel room, me and Tupac. All the bitches was, in the bedroom, in the living room, the penthouse talking. And he was on the phone with Biggie. When they having their conversation, I didn't see enemies. I seen that Tupac was hurt because he loved Biggie. And I knew Biggie loved Tupac. The reason we bothered Tupac so much about Biggie because he felt Biggie set him up when he got shot in the studio in New York. And that's all he wanted to say. But Biggie, I used to beg a bitch to let you sleep on the couch. Biggie, I always held you down. You my brother. At least you was my brother. And then now he put the Biggie on speaker. And you can see Biggie telling Pac, I would have never set you up and, get shot. That wasn't me. And then to the point where, to one point, he sort of threw Puffy in the bus. And the reason why I say sort of, because he said, Pac, you my man. He said, that's more like, well, he said, I ain't going to say all that. Basically, I wouldn't have did that to you. And I could see Tupac was relieved, but he's still angry at the fact he felt that Biggie didn't do nothing to stop it. So me being a businessman, me being an older brother to Tupac, I said, man, seeing you got your answers. I said, I could tell you down about the situation. He said, man, you know what? He said, Biggie's my brother, man, but I hate the motherfucker, but sometimes I love the motherfucker. And he had that old Tupac laugh and agreeing about it. Had a big grin. But I'm going to say this before I go. Dick Carter was a friend of mine who happened to pass away by accident that I'm in it for. to the point where his family was suing me. I told David Kenner, he related to the lawyer representing him named Lance, that I would give the Carters, the wife and the two daughters, $2 million apiece. I was prepared to give them $6 million. They was going back and forth to get it done. Attorney Jasmine Mine got involved and they helped get the situation for Kenner. But I felt bad because they said, we don't got to give them that. They dumb. We're going to give them less than that because they dumb. Lance made me angry because he told Kenner and them that Lydia Carter is a drunk. But who wouldn't be a drunk? You lose your husband. She said she's a drunk alcoholic and her breath smells like shit. Her breath always stinks. That pissed me off. But more importantly, Lance sold the Carters out. I knew one thing. Once Attorney Jasmine Mines got involved, and she being a woman, I knew that was going to change the whole, not that she's not smart, but it was going to change the whole look of the case. And then when you look at...
I don't know who he's talking about. We're just going to let him rock because he's incarcerated, and he's having a moment to have a conversation.
And the two daughters sitting on one side, you got David Kenner, Attorney Jasmine Mines, and you got Lance sitting next to Jasmine on my side.
Crazy stuff.
The Carters and saying that he sold them out because he rather sit next to a pretty girl.
Crazy stuff. Suge Knight, we've run out of time, unfortunately. It's been fascinating to talking to you on Uncensored. I really appreciate
it's great talking to you. I'm out of time myself. Hey, put it to you like this. I ain't saying I'm perfect, but I am Suge Knight. I'm out.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Sorry for that jump scare. I definitely am glad we got to watch this together. I was actually going to go live on Saturday and watch this with you guys. And I was like, nah, I'm chilling. I'm at the house. I'm kicking it. I'm having a good day. Let me go ahead and just watch this by myself first. Excuse me. And pick out the most important part. And I'm glad that we did. Yes, this is the same interview where Suge Knight says Ray J and P. Diddy were lovers. This is the same interview where he said if anybody wanted Tupac dead, it was Snoop Dogg. Okay. And then next thing he said her breath smelled like shit. I was interested. I'm interested to know more about that. He would never say in this interview who he thought actually killed Tupac. And I thought that was very interesting. It might have been smart on his part because he is incarcerated. So you never know who you're going to come across, you know, that's got orders from who. But that was a good interview. If you guys want to watch it without my hms and my haws and my interruptions, but Pac was fine. Still is. Don't ever get it twisted.
Flavor in your ear. Do the Big Mac commercial.
Let me say, man, I'm here because Clive Davis called me, and him and Puppy is real tight. And, you know, love. So I thought he was talking like they got love for each other.
Any comment, Mr. Davis? About Diddy, he credits you as one of his mentors.
He go to LA, he talk to Clive, he come back with the bread. Apparently, he has this man's confidence. Yeah, I'm sure that man was very confident with his penis in his mouth.
Diddy's ex-bodyguard just confirmed that the elites allegedly used Diddy the same exact way Epstein used his victims. And yes, Clive Davis's name is popping back up too. And let's not forge, Diddy's trial is officially headed to day 4, and it is already getting ugly. Now here's the real jaw-dropper. Word on these internet streets is that Diddy might have been groomed when he was just 16 years old, and Clive Davis is the one who's being tied to all this behind-the-scenes power play. First there was Epstein, and now Clive. These powerful men in Hollywood keep getting exposed one by one, and at At this point, it looks like what Cat Williams said was true. All lies will be exposed. To understand where all this is coming from, let's rewind the clock to the early 90s. Diddy wasn't the mogul we know today. He was just a hungry, hustling young man in New York City, promoting parties, rubbing elbows, making noise, but with no real backing, no celebrity friends, just raw ambition and a dream. But then, just like clockwork, Bad Boy Records pops off like it was sprinkled with magic industry dust. Puff went from party planner to power player in what felt like overnight. So of course, the streets started asking, how did he level up that fast? That's when Clive Davis enters the chat. Now, for those who don't know, Clive ain't just any old exec. This man helped mold Aretha Franklin and Alicia Keys, just to mention a few, into legends. He's got 5 Grammys, a whole Hall of Fame spot, and control over some of the biggest machines in music history. And here's where things get real shady. Rumors have been swirling for years that Clive and Diddy's bond wasn't just about the music. Like, industry insiders have been whispering that in 1994, Diddy may have had to do, let's just say, certain favors for Clive to secure his spot, allegedly.
Rumor has it, allegedly, Diddy got on his knees for Clive Davis in 1994, and that's how Bad Boy Records came about.
And guys, whatever happened, it worked, because right after that, Bad Boy exploded. Biggie came through, the label was on fire, the money flowing. But the backstory? Real hush-hush. People close to Diddy never knew where the funding came from. He'd always just say he had a close relationship with Clive. But now, with all these receipts coming out, people are asking, how close? Because you know good and well, Diddy couldn't let the real ones around him, like Wolf or even Andre Harrell, find out if something shady went down. Those were the street dudes. They gave him credibility. They were the ones that made Diddy feel like he belonged in the game.
Clive Davis in the beginning. No, he didn't empower him. That motherfucker put his ass on the block. And all he had to do was diddle-dee-dee and diddle-dee-dum. Like, he wasn't gonna tell Gene and them that's how he was getting the money.
And listen, one comment really summed this up perfectly. Someone said, honestly, Diddy looks like the kind of guy who does whatever for fame and fortune. And the way that hits now, it's chilling. Because when you really look at his rise, how quick it happened, it does start to feel like Diddy might not have just played the game. He might have been played too. And get this, Clive spilled some beans of his own. In his over 500-page memoir, this man got real personal. Clive officially came out as bi at the age of 80, and that alone shook the industry. But what really made people clutch their pearls? He openly talked about being in 2 long-term relationships with men over a span of 20 years. One was a doctor, respectfully, cool. But the other, he never named, like completely left that part blank. Just a mystery man. And what makes it all so suspicious? The timeline matches Diddy's rise to fame almost exactly.
Having read something about bisexuality, my story was different. I just found that I would open myself up to the possibility of a relationship based on the person and not on gender.
I mean, Clive literally admitted to attending events with his unnamed partner. And listen, we've all seen the throwback photos of Diddy and Clive at galas, awards shows, red carpets, all hugged up, front row, smiling big. I'm not saying the mystery man was Diddy, but I am saying the shoe is looking mighty fitted, okay? And let's be real, we're not accusing Diddy of doing anything explicit to climb that ladder. But come on, y'all. People don't just go from intern at Uptown Records to hip-hop mogul with their own label, major artists, and corporate partnerships, unless there's a serious push behind the scenes. Now we know Clive's reputation, very private, very controlled. He doesn't kiss and tell, rarely speaks on rumors, never names names unless it's PR friendly. But when it comes to Diddy, it's like a whole other story. Diddy has publicly thanked Clive countless times. He's said on stage, in interviews, and even during award speeches that Clive made him. At the 2019 Grammys, Diddy said, and I quote, "Clive Davis and Arista Records gave me a chance when I was starting Bad Boy Records. He was one of the first industry executives to really believe in me. I'm forever grateful for him." Now listen, that's not just a shout out. That's not just appreciation. That's loyalty and probably something deeper. But fast forward to 2024 to 2025, when the heat got turned all the way up on Diddy with the arrests and the lawsuits and the trial heating up, the same Clive Davis that Diddy gave a shout out to started playing dumb. When reporters asked Clive about Diddy's situation, this man straight up hit him with the grandpa shuffle. Like suddenly he didn't know who Sean Combs even was.
A lot of people are curious about the status of P. Diddy. P. Diddy. Diddy.
And the internet clocked it instantly. One person said it best. Suddenly he's hard of hearing and plays the old card when Diddy is mentioned, but he knows exactly who that is. Like, don't do us. You've been side by side with this man for decades, and now you act like he's some random stranger on the street. And now, here's where things gets darker. People aren't just saying that Clive Davis mentored Diddy. Number, they're saying Clive molded him, built him, taught him how to move, how to use power, how to gain control over people, and most chilling of all, how to manipulate behind the scenes. That's when the comments started heating up. One person even said, Clive Davis is not low level compared to Epstein. You could very easily argue it's more high level. Blackmailing famous celebrities so they will do and say whatever agenda they want to push has way more influence on society than you can imagine. Music, movies, these are things that can shape culture. That's pretty powerful. Now, if this is even halfway true, we are not talking about some innocent old man. We're talking about someone who allegedly built an empire off manipulation, secrets, and control. Even Suge Knight said something about this.
Who is Suge? But anyway, who the fuck is Suge? How do you know it's being read by AI? When they call Suge Knight Suge. But anyway, I did see over the weekend that Clive was investigated. I don't know if he was ever charged or convicted, but he was investigated because back in the day when he was building Arista Records, he would actually get DJs to play music by giving them heroin. So he was a drug dealer. Sound familiar? Okay.
Now say what you want about Suge, but one thing that man is gonna do is run his mouth, and sometimes he is telling hard truths. He said straight up that Diddy knows everything he knows from Clive Davis, and that's not all. Suge said it's a classic case of hurt people, that Diddy's toxic behavior is rooted in how he was molded and possibly used by Clive.
You're suggesting about Sean Combs that he was sexually abused and he now sexually abuses?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think.
But Suge didn't even stop there. He also claimed that he was once told Clive and Diddy were actually lovers.
Then he said, man, I'm here because Clive Davis called me and him and Puppy's real tight and, love. So I thought he was talking like they got love for each other.
So at this point, it's like, are these even rumors anymore? Or is it just a pattern people have been too scared to piece together? Let's go even further back now. Because people love to ask how Diddy even found his way to Clive Davis in the first place. Well, it allegedly goes back to his late father. Diddy's dad, Melvin Combs, was associated with Frank Lucas, the same one who the kingpin, the movie American Gangster, is based on. Melvin was unalived when Diddy was just 2 years old. But word on the street is that his dad's associates had ties to the music industry, not through talent or management, but allegedly through providing substances and ex-workers to execs. And if that's the case, it would explain how Diddy slid into the scene so young and got a spot at Uptown Records with ease and eventually caught Clive Davis's eye. But while most people focus on Clive's music legend status, others say he's been involved in deeply disturbing stuff behind the scenes. We're talking coercion, exploitation, and targeting young talent, especially those he thought he could control. Even Jaguar Wright claimed that Clive harmed Luther Vandross. She said the industry covered it all up, and that Clive might have even had an affair with Luther. Mind you, this was long before Clive ever publicly came out as bi. The timeline fits, and the energy, very suspicious.
If you knew how Clive Davis used to torture Luther Vandross.
How do you know? How do you know?
It might make you look at some of those Luther Vandross albums a little different.
Depends on when you ask me whether or not it's a good place.
Are you happy?
It depends. It also depends on when you ask. Asking right now? No, not particularly.
And that brings us to the final question that's haunting everything right now. If Clive had this much influence over Diddy, who influenced Clive? Because if the patterns repeat, then maybe this ain't just about Diddy. While we're still on Clive, let's talk about his ability to move in silence. You ever notice how, despite all the whispers and scandals surrounding him, nothing ever sticks? No lawsuits ever ruined his career? No drama ever tarnished his reputation? But don't be fooled because Clive has a criminal past that's been swept under the rug real good. We're talking false tax filings, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And let's not forget that massive payola scandal that went down while he was at ABC Records. For those who don't know, payola is when the industry basically bribes radio stations to play songs on repeat. Huge deal. And somehow, Clive didn't even get a slap on the wrist.
His criminality is kind of amazing. He got busted. He's been for filing false tax returns 3 times, and then defrauding the IRS 3 times. He was involved in the biggest payola scandal. That's when record companies give money to radio stations to play their songs.
Some sources even say Clive was allegedly connected to the Genovese crime family. Word is that Clive was involved with Pasquale Falcone, a member of the family who got busted for smuggling heroin, and allegedly Clive funneled money through shell companies linked to this operation. No jail time though. Surprise, surprise, how convenient.
Pasquale Falcone. And he got busted smuggling 22 pounds of heroin into the United States. And the Justice Department started digging into him, and they came across all these shell companies that he headed, and Clive Davis was funneling money from ABC Records to these shell companies.
But hold up, because this next part will really make your eyebrows raise. There are rumors that Clive Davis is actually a government informant. People are saying that he may have been protected because of his insider knowledge of all the criminal activity going on in the music industry. It's like he's got dirt on everyone, and he knows how to use it to stay untouchable. I know, it's wild, but some people say this could be like the way Jeffrey Epstein operated, having dirt on the powerful people around him and using that to stay out of the fire. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, but at this point, who knows?
With Clive Davis, that's what I've been trying to get my mind around. And the only thing I can think of is he's an informant of some kind.
But here's the most messed up part. Let's talk about the artist Clive signed, because this is where it gets real dark. Starting with Whitney Houston. Her career was a train wreck of heartbreak and tragedy. The way Clive handled her career and life, people still side-eye him to this day, especially because, well, her tragic end happened in his home. Whitney was found dead in the bathtub of Clive's hotel room, and people have never fully gotten over that. But even after Whitney passed, Clive went on with the pre-Grammy party like everything was normal. He said it was what Whitney would have wanted. And here's the thing that's even crazier. Diddy was the one who gave her tribute. Now that's wild. Why? Because Diddy and Whitney weren't even that close, yet there he was, leading the tribute. Could it be that Clive was already using Diddy to help him manage these kinds of situations?
I know that you were the first, one of the first ones at Clive's party to speak about Whitney's passing the other day.
Yes.
And that was, did you know her well?
Yes, I did.
And it doesn't stop with Whitney. There's been more bathtub deaths that raise suspicions. People have even linked Aaron Carter's death to Clive's shadowy world. Some say the things Aaron was saying before he died, things about the music industry, don't sit right and might be connected to the same things that have been tied to Clive's past. It's all a little too much to ignore. But it doesn't end there, because word on the street is that Clive kept detailed files on all of his artists, photos, videos, everything. And if this is true, well, let's just say that's looking a lot more like blackmail, which Diddy also allegedly did to his artists. Now, y'all can see a pattern here and where he learned all that. He went through it as a teenager, allegedly, and now is doing the same to others. This deep dive got real dark real fast, but let's keep it all the way real. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and Clive Davis? That man been standing in the middle of the flames for decades, yet somehow never gets burned. So now I need to hear from you. Do you think Clive Davis really groomed Diddy and set him on this path that's now unraveling right before our eyes? Should Clive be investigated the same way Diddy is, or do you think he's being protected at a higher level? Is it possible that Clive's influence runs deeper than the music industry, maybe even into law enforcement or intelligence? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, because I know y'all got opinions. And listen.
I want to know what y'all think too. I mean, this is kind of the information I was alluding to earlier. It doesn't go as deep as what I saw before, but I would really like to hear from you to know if you think some of these puzzle pieces or dots are being connected, because I mean, it looks to me like I said before, P. Diddy was, you know, based on what I understand, he was sexually abused, and I don't know that, it's completely alleged, but he was even connected to a Catholic priest who was a part of a sexual abuse scandal at the high school he went to. So, I don't know.